We are recording.
Good. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Sunday morning coffee house. I am delighted to be here today to celebrate the spring equinox. I'm actually
Meg, sorry, you have to unmute.
There I go. I unmuted myself and I will welcome you again. On behalf of the Center for Functional Nutrition, I welcome you to our Sunday morning coffee house. I'm really eager to begin. And before we do, though, I have a couple of housekeeping items. And that is for March 28th and April 4th, there will be no coffee house, but we will be joining you on April the 11th. So no coffee house, March 28th and April 4th, but we will be here on April 11th. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Brian.
Thank you, Megan, and thank you everyone for joining us today. It's absolutely wonderful to be looking out and seeing all of your smiling faces. It's depending on where you're tuning in from, it is a truly spectacular day here in the Northeast. And I believe yesterday was the first of spring. So it's absolutely just beautiful that we'll be celebrating this shifting from winter to spring with Cathryn Taylor and Laura Ocampo. And I'm just going to do a quick introduction of Cathryn. I know she'll be speaking to Laura in a bit. This is a really special coffee house, and I want to acknowledge that I met Cathryn Taylor about 3 years ago, and Cathryn Taylor has opened up my entire world, being, energy, everything that was missing in my life in terms of spirituality or energetics, or that whole world was a pretty big mystery to me. And I was just so blessed to meet Cathryn, and she took baby steps with me to open that world up. And this coffee house is a result of my relationship with Cathryn Taylor. Everything that you are all now seeing, all these connections and relationships, its inception point was my meeting with Cathryn. So I'm just absolutely so grateful that she's going to be leading us this morning. Cathryn Taylor is an absolute lifelong friend and beyond, and she is a master in the work that she does. And I'm so excited that she'll be creating, collaborating, and connecting us all together in this equinox celebration. So Cathryn, welcome, and the floor is yours. You're still on mute. There we go.
Well, thank you, Brian. And for any of you who read the book that I just recently released, you'll find out in the epilogue that when I went into the meditation to bring that epilogue through, and it was called the TED Talk at the Veil, who emerged as the MC of that, introducing my brother John and I at the Veil, was none other than Brian. So he's played a very important part in my life as well. And it's been a real blessing and just wonderful to be a part of this evolution of this coffee house, which I think has really saved a lot of people from their isolation, because it started April 12th. I think you're coming up on that anniversary, and it's just a real blessing to look forward to this. I'm particularly excited today to bring to you my collaboration with Laura Ocampo. Laura is the co-owner of Power and Finesse Fitness with her husband. And Laura and I teamed up, and we were offering EFT and TRE and yoga experiences at her studio at that time. And then all of that got shut down. But she has just been a blessing to my life. We're kind of like the alpha and omega of each other. We fill in the gaps of where we each need the combination of the physical and the emotional and the spiritual and the mental, and they all of it, all four of them. I don't think I mentioned all four of them, but you know what all four of them are. So I'm excited. Laura, did you kind of wave so people know who you are? So you'll be hearing from her, and she'll be doing the movement piece. But we're thrilled to be able to bring to you what we originally called a Spring Equinox Ceremony, but what it's really evolved into is more of a spiritual experience, an equinox experience. And what we hope to bring to you is a renewed sense of what this window is. The actual spring equinox was at 5:37 a.m. Eastern time yesterday. So we're still in that window. It's usually a 24 to 48 hour window. And what's beautiful about it is that it's a time where there's an equal day and night. And what we're going to start this off with is a video that Brian's going to cue for us by a guru that speaks about the spiritual significance of the equinox. And then we'll come back and we'll lead you through the experience. So Brian, you want to cue that up for us now?
Here we go. Just Cathryn, give me an audible when you can see and hear.
Okay, wait, I think that is, no, that's, yes, this one.
This one, right?
Right.
Okay, here we go.
Can you enlarge it?
Today's equinox. All of you know what it means in terms of the celestial equator. That is an imaginary line drawn above the Earth's equator, which is also an imaginary line, dividing this planet into northern and southern hemispheres, or that point where the magnetic field of the northern pole and the southern pole alter in different ways. The different fields of energy, how they behave in the northern hemisphere, and just crossing over the equator, how they behave is entirely different. So on this day, this celestial equator is in perfect alignment with the sun. That means all the influences upon the planet are at an equilibrium. The significance of equinox for the human being is, on this day, the masculine and the feminine is at an even keel. In the yogic tradition, this day is seen as a day when one has the best possibility of transcending the limitations and the compulsions of one's physical longings, transcending the lustful compulsions within the human body. The possibility of that is at its best on this day. Shiva sat as an Ardhanari, that is, he was half woman and half man, because both are even today. This is a day when women are on equal keel with the male. Other days, I mean, they're dominant. It's a level playing field within our own system. And whether socially, economically, or otherwise, the only thing that we can provide is a level playing field for everybody. You cannot make people equal, it's never going to work. But you can provide an equal opportunity. An equal opportunity simply means a level playing field. Traditionally, it is considered as a day that is free of prejudice. Why it is considered as a day free of prejudice is, prejudice essentially arises in our minds because we are overly identified with something. We're here coming down to a very basic aspect of being masculine or feminine. If you're too identified with being masculine, you will have a masculine prejudice. If you're too identified being feminine, you will have a feminine prejudice. So equinox is a day to bring balance to this, to not be identified with this or that, not even being a man or a woman, not even being human or another creature, just to sit here and throb.
All right. So I'm unmuted, right? All right, so we wanted to play that because it really gives the broader view of what you can accomplish and how we can come out of this winter hibernation of 2020 and come into this new season of 2021 and decide which obsessions and compulsions and addictions and polarizations that we really want to ask to be balanced today, to be moved out of today. And so what Laura and I want to do today is really give you a way to begin to level that playing field. And the way that we level it is through balancing. So what I'd like to have you do is just take a moment and think for yourselves about this transition, about what you're moving from, where you've been and where you want to go. And what is it that you want to level the playing field around? What is it in your life that you want to bring balance to? So just take a moment to set your own intention. And then we're going to give you some ways to begin to really come into that compassionate detachment, that balance where you can be present. Just take a silent moment. And now that you've given focus to what your intention is for this transition, because as the Guru said, it's a beautiful time. You're the closest to your guidance to ask for help. But in order to ask for that help, we have to come to a vibrational frequency that we can hear it. And most often what keeps us from that is our attachments or our density or our worries or our angers or our resentments. So we're going to do like 2 or 3 different things that are going to help you level that playing field within yourself. So the first one is one that actually came to me one day when I was trying to meditate. And my mind was just like an airfield. It was like I had 5 runways that I was all tracking, each one of them, to make sure that all the planes were arriving on time. I had so many thoughts in my head. And I just said, I can't settle down enough. And all of a sudden, I just heard my guidance say, just give us 5 minutes. Just give us a few moments. And so I closed my eyes, and all of a sudden, I felt my body just starting to go like this. It's just like I had hands on my shoulders. Just start doing it with me. It's called the vibrational shuffle. At least that's the name I gave it. And what it was doing was it was shuffling the energy in my heart that was clouding my heart and being overtaken by my brain that was overactive. The metaphor that came to me was, it felt like I was a can of paint at Home Depot. You know how when you get that can of paint, they start shaking it like that? And it just felt like it was dislodging. So just let your body dislodge energetically. Anything that is just hovering and eclipsing your ability to come into coherence with your guardian. You might have a name for it, you might not. But this action is just around the heart. So it's just kind of from the waist up, and it's picturing that your angels and guardians are just kind of taking your shoulders and just gently oscillating you to loosen things in your heart. And as that occurs, we're going to move into beginning to balance some things energetically. And most of you have done the EFT tapping for me. If you haven't, then I just invite you to do what I do and say what I say. And what you're doing, you can kind of bring your bodies to a rest. What you're doing with EFT, it's short for emotional freedom techniques. And what tapping does is it's a self-administered form of acupressure. And we use tapping on different points to stimulate an impulse that anything that's dislodged, and we were just dislodging some energetic disturbances with the vibrational shuffle. And now we're going to neutralize those energetic disturbances and reinforce a sense of calm. So the way that we do this is you first come to your karate. This is the karate point. And everybody's muted, so I just invite you to repeat what I say. And we'll do what's called the setup. So what we're doing with the setup is we're getting the polarization. So even though we have things that we have been doing that we don't want to do, we now want to move into a new way of being. So this is going to be pretty generic so that it responds to everybody. And so you can fill in your own specificity to your intention if you want. But just repeat after me. Even though I have these old behaviors or beliefs, that have gathered like moss over this hibernation, I now want to dislodge those. The beliefs, the thoughts, the feelings, the mannerisms, so that I can get a fresh start and plant the seeds of a new beginning. So even though I've got some old behaviors or some ruts that I got into during this isolation and hibernation, I want to shake those loose, consciously or unconsciously. I want the energy to be dislodged so I can neutralize it and come into a coherence between my body, mind, heart, and soul. Okay, so now we shake our hands out. And what we did with that setup is we set up the polarization. I always think of it as a teeter-totter. I'm here and I want to be here. So we have to kind of toggle between those two, and then we come to the middle. What we do next is we neutralize those with just short phrases. And every time we tap on the points that I'm going to be tapping on, that sends the electrical impulse. And wherever you feel the tension of what you've been holding on to, your impulse is going to untie the knot of that, so that progressively you'll feel more and more ready to plant the seeds for something new. So we first start by tapping on the corner of the eyebrow. I'm going to take you through the points first, and then we'll do it with phrases. And then the next one is the side of the eye, under the eye, and then the top of the lip, bottom of the lip. Often you'll see me do those two together, so don't let that throw you if I do that. The collarbone, under the arm, and every place that we're tapping, these are meridian endpoints that they use in acupressure. So it's releasing that tension. Then the wrist and the top of the head. And with each tapping, we just say a short phrase. So just repeat after me. All of these behaviors, these old thoughts and feelings that have piled up on me during this winter isolation, all of the pandemic worries, the social unrest, the disorganization within me, around me, in this new season. I want to start out new. I want to come into a state of balance, compassion, to level my playing field so I can offer that to the world, so I can be an expression of compassion in my thought, word, and deed. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so now rub your hands out, and we're going to do one last activity like this before I turn it over to Laura to do the movement. I've got a good friend, Laurel, that I just talked to, so that's why I was confused in the names. All right, so with this, what we're going to come into is heart and mind coherence. This is an old heart math activity. I've done this before on the coffee house, but you bring your left hand and you put it on your heart, and you bring your right hand and you put it on your third eye, and you just kind of drape your fingers over your head. And you just simply do this with your breath. So you breathe in to your heart, and you breathe out through your third eye and crown chakra. You breathe in and expand, and you breathe out and release and let go. So just keep breathing in and breathing out. And this is aligning your heart and your mind. It's bringing them into coherence so that you can bring that which you've dislodged into a place of balance and peace and calm. As you breathe in and you breathe out. Breathe in your intention and breathe out any resistance to planting new seeds. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Now bring your hands back together and bring them close to your heart in prayer position. And just take a moment to revisit your intention, the seeds that you want to plant. As Laura leads you through the body movement that will assist you coming to alignment, body, mind, heart, and soul. Laura?
Hello. So I'm Laura Ocampo, and there's a couple of things I wanted to do with the physical part of this. As I've been moving into teaching more breathing, movement, and meditation, every time that I teach, what always comes back to me is that we need balance. And Cathryn's such an amazing practitioner of bringing balance to your body. I tend to come to it from the physical point. So we are a bit synergistic. And so often what happens is people tend to either be connected more to their physicalness, more to their emotionalness, or more to their mental state or spiritual. Sometimes I think mental and spiritual are the same thing. And so I'm going to introduce an idea of the sun salutation in which we find a balance of how we're connected to the earth. We're connected to the divine and into the divine intuition, the divine powers, but we are present in our body. So we have that balance. And I was introduced with, you may all know the sun salutation. We're going to do just a little part of it. And one of the things that I've learned is it's not what you do, it's how you do it. Okay, so how is it that we do this? So we're only going to do the first couple of movements of the sun salutation. But the idea is, with what reverence, with what connection do we have? And so the connection is going to be, first of all, I'd like you to kind of come back to that seed of intention, what it is that maybe you want to bring forward from the equinox on. What do we want to grow? And to have a couple of actual seeds. So place that intention into the actual seed. So we have a couple of imaginary physical seeds. Okay, so we have those. Let's have them and just kind of place them somewhere, because they're imaginary. We can put them wherever we want, right? Okay, so we have those seeds. And then what I'd like to do is, when you think of the sun salutation, we come up and then we move forward. So the sun salutation is coming up and coming forward. And then if we were to keep going forward into the sun salutation, we would go to one knee and back and forward and stand up and stand down. But all we're going to do in the beginning here, or today, is that beginning sun salutation. Okay. Now I'm going to take us back to a breath that is very, it'll feel very similar to what Cathryn just did, except for we're going to anchor at the navel. So I'd like you to close your eyes, to settle into your sit bones, and then use your imagination. We're going to tie two strings, one string to your right collarbone and one string to your left collarbone. Now we have a third string that's at the navel, but it's in the back. And many of us are old enough to remember the kind of dolls where you pulled a string out the back of the body and then the doll would talk, right? Okay, so the third string is through the back of the body like that. So settle back down again. You have three strings now. Imagine a puppeteer, and on your inhale, the puppeteer is going to lift your collarbones. So through the length of the inhale, literally feel a puppeteer pick your collarbones up and create space. Notice your heart. Now that puppeteer goes down to the navel, and when you exhale, they are going to pull the navel back through the back of the body. Exhale. And we'll do a few breaths this way. Inhale, our puppeteer lifts the collarbones. And imagine we're lifting up to the sun here. And then now exhale, let that navel pull right back to the spine. We're going to start to work on the rhythm of our own breath. So please allow yourself to go through those two motions. On the inhale, the puppeteer lifts the collarbones. The exhale, the puppeteer pulls the navel back to the spine. So you're moving on the rhythm of your own breath. When the collarbones lift, we feel this lightness, this openness, this reaching up to the sun. And when we exhale, we're anchoring down at the navel, nice and strong. And you have that feeling of being able to move into this world, open and ready and anchored to this earth, tethered strongly to stability and comfort and ease. And just another breath or two. And flutter the eyes open. So I'm going to come to a stand, and I can invite you to come to your stand. We need our little seeds, but you can do this seated as well. And if you want to, you could flip off your video. If you want to keep your video on, you can keep your video on. I just want everybody to feel comfortable. I'm going to come to a stand, and remember we have those seeds. So the first thing I would like you to do, and whether you're seated or whether you're standing, you can do this. Okay. Now, I call this pawing. Okay. So if we've ever watched a cat, especially, a cat, sometimes when they're pawing, their paw goes into the ground and then it's like it moves further in. So it paws. Now I want us to try that with our feet. From here, and I find that if I use my hands along with my feet, it helps. So I'm going to take my right hand and my right foot and feel like I'm pressing into the earth, and then the earth gives away from me. And then the left side, and the earth gives away. And so you feel like you're pawing into the earth with your feet. And we're starting to get this feeling like, oh, sand, maybe mud. But if we think about the cat pawing, we get to stay in this kind of light feeling rather than getting stuck down. So paw right, paw left, paw right, paw left. And just start to feel that feeling of connection into the earth. Now paw right and stay. And then paw left and stay. So if you're seated, think your sit bone, your sit bone. If you're standing, your foot, your foot. And you feel like you're really anchored into the earth. Then, just like what Cathryn did, we're going to shake a little. Take your fingers and circle the wrist and get a shake of the fingertips. Then, really being anchored into the earth, flip the hands so that they hit a little side to side. You're plugged into the earth. Solid and easeful and comfort. And the arms just kind of move with the body. When we pause, close the eyes and take your mind's eye to your 10 fingertips. Feel that aliveness, that kind of vibrating feeling of gravity taking your fingers. Make that connection to the earth through the fingers. As we open the eyes, scoop up and bring your palms forward. Now we're going to, because our seeds are imaginary, they can be right here. Okay, so our seeds are right here in our heart. And we have our intention here. We have our seeds. Take a few breaths. Remember that, lift the collarbone, pull at the navel so you find this stability here. And you're just imagining what you want to bring forward from this moment on. And we're going to plant those seeds. Now, let's just say that you don't have something that's really solid. You could plant a tree and then come back to it later. Okay? So from here, we're going to bend into the knees and come to the earth. And take the seeds and bring them to the ground. kind of move the sand away, plant the seeds and move the earth back and lift up. Scoop the hands again. Now, one of the things that I've heard through my yoga trainings is that the sun salutation was originally meant in the morning that you had a copper bowl and it was full of water. And you know how we never look directly at the sun because it burns our eyes. It's not a good idea to do that. So what they would do is take this copper bowl, lift it up to the sun. When it gets past your eye level, they would start to pour that water and look at the sun. And then the water would roll over them and they'd be looking at the sun through the water and then continue to look upward and then bring the bowl back to the ground and scoop some water up again. So we're lifting up here. And imagine this liquid as it's going past your face, lifting up, and you can see the sun, that bright sun, through the water. And the water rolls down. And then we come back. And one more. Scoop up the water and present it. Present it here, and then as you continue up, use your imagination. See the water pouring, see the sun coming through that. Just imagine how that feels, as if you yourself are glowing with the sun, filling with energy. And come down. Now the water has come down to the ground. We're going to move our bowl a little to the side and stand back up again. And then take one little step forward so that we're in our seeds or above our seeds. And just imagine now closing your eyes and connecting down and in. And you're taking the seeds and just pawing them into the ground. And you know that you have now planted those seeds. And you can come back to them and watch them grow. Let's bring our palms together at the heart and just rub the palms together. Create a bit of heat. Pause. Feel the heat of the hands. Feel the feet anchored completely to the earth. And then open the eyes and look up. And imagine that water pouring out of that bowl through the sun. And imagine that that bowl now and that energy of the sun is our connection to the divine. And our connection to our body is at the heart. And we are connected to this earth. Just a few moments. Be in the heart, grounded to the earth, and open to divine intuition, to divine support, to divine love from a place of balance. Then let's shake out the hands and come on back. And I will hand it back to Cathryn here and mute.
All right, so what we've given you is a way to take your seeds for this new season. And this is a very special new season because we've been through really a year-long winter. And so each of us is experiencing the new season and the new beginning as we're getting closer and closer to opening up and being able to commingle a little bit more in a new way. So we can get out there, and not only with others, not only in our environment, but get out there in terms of stretching ourselves beyond our comfort zone a little bit with new ideas and these new seeds that we've planted. So we have one more nugget that we're going to leave you with, but for right now, we're going to open it up, Brian, to the Q&A, and we'll send you off with that good feeling of one last video before we go. So Brian, back to you.
Thank you, Cathryn. Thank you, Laura. I think these connections we have every week are just truly extraordinary, because we're expanding our self-care and our tool belts. And as Cathryn was just saying, as everything opens back up, those of us that have put in this work, during this quote unquote winter, will be so capable of reaching and connecting with others. And I just love the tools we got today. Thank you both so very much. If you would like to ask a question or say a comment, just start waving at me and I will find you.
Yes, I have a question.
I'm
I'm first timer. I'm first time. I know Russell for many years. Hi, Russell. This is Rimiko. I know
Hello,
him.
Rimiko.
Yes.
Nice to see you.
Hi, nice to see you. I'm sorry. Las Vegas is time is a little over 8 o'clock. I saw your email. I've been watching it and I don't know what it was, and I still don't know what it is, but I follow the direction. Because I trust Russell. I know, like I said, I know Russell many years, and so when I looked at it and I said, well, let me get in and see what it is. So I don't know anything about this, but I follow direction, whatever you're teaching, everybody's teaching was absolutely very different. I'm a Christianity and I'm Japanese. And so I followed it, but I don't feel anything. So I guess because I don't know anything about this. So this is like, it sounds like it's connection to Earth. My question, like I said, I don't know anything about it. And so what am I getting to this connection?
Well, what you're getting to is just a balancing between you and your creator. So you're opening up your physical body through the breath and the movements that Laura did. You're making your physical vessel more available to feel the energy of Christ, the energy of your God as you understand, that presence in your own life. So it's just a reawakening and a re-energizing and a realigning between your body and your spirit.
Okay, that kind of little makes sense. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I do meditation, breathing exercise, all that stuff, but it's more, sounds like it's deeper than that. So that's what I understood.
It's just more multifaceted. It's doing that same thing, but giving the psyche a variety of ways to do it, because our mind needs new ways to practice things. So it was just kind of bringing new beginnings in new ways.
Awesome. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for that question, and thank you for joining for the first time. You're so blessed to be joining today with two real masters, and I can totally relate to you. I was there 3 years ago, and I know Cathryn's laughing because I probably said a lot of the same things. And all I can tell you is the work that you're doing with meditation, and these are just expansions on those basic principles of connection with yourself and with your spirit, whatever that is, and with the energy of the world and universe. So thank you for participating and having the courage to do so.
Yeah, thank you. This is amazing. Thank you.
I saw Carolyn Jones that was waving at me.
Yeah. Hey, I just wanted to thank you, Cathryn and Laura. That was just absolutely beautiful and wow, so timely. This beautiful equinox energy that we're in. And I know personally, I just felt this tremendous opening and grounding simultaneously. So thank you both for that lovely experience.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. Anybody else? Let's see. Oh, yes, I see. Is it Charlene Wagner? Did I get that right?
I just wanted to say thank you. That was absolutely perfect for today. And I love being led by both Laura and Cathryn. It was a brilliant synergy and it just had so much cohesion in it and brought us together. And I could really feel the earth and, you know, the divine energy, like just spiraling through my body. And it was brilliant. So thank you so much. I'm honored to be here today with you.
Thank you, Charlie.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Beautiful comments. Megan.
Yeah, just one thing. And I might even cry. But I just want to thank you both for bringing such beauty. And again, the reminder of how important it is for us to serve others. Because in this way, that's the way that we will evolve and move into this planting and this light. And so thank you both for the work that you do and for bringing it to us today.
Thank you, Megan.
Thank you, Megan. Absolutely. Absolute truth right there. Anybody else with a comment or question?
Brian,
Yes, sorry.
Brian, I say one thing about the earth.
Oh, yes, sorry, go ahead.
You know, some people are very connected to the earth, so like they're naturally grounded. So they might think, okay, but there's some people, and I happen to be one of them. My family used to just literally call me an airhead. You know, so the grounding for me has been so important. But again, everybody's really different. So some people grounding might not be the most like connecting to their earth. You might just be very naturally connected to the earth. So I just wanted to say that, sorry.
No, that's such a good point, Laura. And I think that's a testament to the coffee house, because we're so diverse in who comes and shares and the experiences that happen here. And I think Cathryn mentioned this in her, you know, kind of sharing, is that the opportunity is in the courage to learn, in the want to learn. And as you get to discern who you are and what makes sense to you, you'll just find what tools are a fit for you. And then you create your world through those tools. And the magic happens when you start sharing that with people. And that's the deepest hope for this coffee house, is that people come together, connect, create, collaborate, and then share that with others. And we hope that you do that. Anyone else with a comment or question? Oh yeah,
One
Carol.
little question. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I'm just gonna go to Carol Patty first.
Go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to say, Brian, that was beautifully said, what you just said about sharing what we get, and thank you for that. I also want to thank both Cathryn and Laura. It was beautiful, and I didn't really understand that balance of this day, so it was great to get that learning. And the idea of balance is so present in my life, so it was really very important to have both pieces, you know, the grounding in the body and the emotional spiritual that Cathryn does with her EFT and other knowledge. So thank you both. It was wonderful.
Thank you, Carol. Yeah, beautiful comment. Carla B.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Laura and Cathryn, and thanks also to Megan, Russell, and Brian. And I might probably the best thing that I could say about this is that it just reminded me of so much that I wasn't being conscious of. And I've had a lot of disorganization lately, a lot of exhaustion, and just to, and when you started out and said, Cathryn, choose a place or a state that to ground in or lift from or create in some kind of way. And I know for me, it's at this point, it's organization. I'm going to stop talking in a minute. I just, but thanks. That's mainly what I wanted to say. Thank you both and all of you, everyone.
Thank you, Carla. Yeah, I kind of got a lot of what you were saying there. You know, Carl, part of my daily practice and my self-care is actual grounding and touching the earth. So, you know, Laura, you know, what you shared was a great fit for me. You know, I already do a lot of what Cathryn, I've been doing that for 3 years, but what you shared today, I'm now going to expand on my experience of earth every day and grounding. And I'm going to do that. And the whole idea of taking my intentions and really planting them as I'm walking on the earth is, I feel like, will be a whole new level to my, you know, self-care and my daily practice. So again, thank you so much for that. And Cathryn, of course, for just making my practice even more effective with your words. Anyone else with a closing comment or question?
One more question for me. I'm so sorry. So you have to practice every day for this to you can connect it, or?
No, you know, maybe a good idea, connect with Russell and we can have a conversation offline. I can even connect you with Cathryn, Laura. We're all a big family. So please just reach out and we'll give you everything you need. So
all right, thank you.
Thank you so much to Cathryn Taylor for your absolute brilliance, your guidance, your leadership, your just persistence at the point in time in your life at such a mastery level to be giving even more. Cathryn works tirelessly to find ways to create opportunities for people to tap in literally to all of this. So just from the deepest of my heart, thank you, Cathryn. And Laura, just for my first time meeting you, again, you gave me such an incredible tool to add to my self-care. Thank you so very much. And to everyone else, we are going to leave you with a video. Please soak it up, use that energy, give someone a real hug today, if that's possible. Share some love in whatever way you can. And I'm going to get this video set up. Hold on a second.
In 1991, scientists made a discovery, headway, that really opened the door to this conversation. They discovered every human heart, 40,000 or so specialized cells configured in a way that creates a neural network in the heart. They're brain-like cells, but they're not in the brain, they're in the heart. And it's actually called the little brain in the heart. What they found, what the scientists discovered, is that these cells think independently of the cranial brain. They feel and they remember. And what that means is every experience that we have, even this one right now, I'm registering this experience in two places. This is a good experience, So it's not a problem. I'm registering in my cranial mind as well as in my heart. But if we were having a trauma, it would still be registered in both places. And if I tried to heal that trauma only through thinking about it or talking about, from my mind, it might feel incomplete. The healing may feel incomplete. And the reason is because I've only addressed what happened in here. I haven't addressed what happened in here. And we know this intuitively. I did an experiment a few years ago. Every culture I went to, and every age group, I asked little kids, I said, where are you sitting right now? Show me where you're sitting. And people say, I'm sitting right here. They say, right here. Or you ask the indigenous people, you know, where do you live? Well, this is my home. And almost instinctively, we know that the heart is the seat of our existence, the seat of our being. You don't see them hitting their head, you know, or their arm or something else. So when we talk about heart intelligence, what we're talking about is the ability for these neurons to us to communicate with the neurons in a way that is meaningful to those neurons. These neurons are linked to a wisdom, to an intelligence that is right for us. Mine is right for me, yours is right for you. And any question that you ask this intelligence, it will answer you in a way that will serve you in that moment. It'll never tell you to do anything dangerous or anything that would hurt anyone else. I'll give you a perfect example. I was in Australia over 9/11. Couldn't get back into my own country until the flights were flying again. And when they did fly, I was in Sydney, Australia, and there was a Boeing 747, that's a big plane, with fewer than 20 people that were going to come to the US. And there was, at the ticket counter, we were at the gate to board, and the agent said, there's so few people, we're not going to board by boarding rows. You can board this plane if you want to and go to America. And I said, well, you don't sound very encouraging. She says, I don't know what happened in that country. She says, but this plane's going to go there if you want to go there. I don't know if it's going to happen again. I don't know if it's over, but if you want to get on the plane, you know, get on the plane. And really didn't instill a lot of confidence in me or the other people that were there. I said, hold that thought, just wait a minute. And I stepped around the corner, and there's a technique where you can literally, you touch your heart like this. And when you touch your heart, your awareness will always go to the place where you feel the touch. So when you call your attention into your heart center in this way, and you slow your breathing, just a few breaths slower than usual. When you slow your breathing, it tells your body that you are safe. You're in a place that's safe. And when you're safe, when you feel safe, it's a switch. It's like an emotional trigger that frees the rejuvenating and the healing chemistry in the body, because the stress and survival chemistry is not needed if you feel safe. So when you slow your breathing and focus in your heart, that is the doorway, and shamans will do this all the time. Monks, nuns, you see them do this all the time, to that heart intelligence. And I asked my heart, my heart, is this a safe flight for me to take? Because my head, if you ask your head, this is so interesting scientifically, because the brain's a polarity organ, left and right brain. And there's always going to be a right and a wrong, good and a bad, success, failure. And if you ask your brain a question under pressure, your brain will go through the logic and the ego loops that will keep you from making the answer. When you ask your heart, the heart's not a polarity organ. So you consciously free yourself from those loops into what is called heart intelligence. And generally your heart will answer. Your heart knows you very well. It's been with you a long time. Your heart will answer before you even finish the question.
Well, that was an awesome message. So thank you, Cathryn and Laura, for allowing us to be in more in tune and more in touch with our hearts. And I invite all of you to practice that. Practice, 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 share it, share it, share it. Thank you so much, everyone, for gathering, creating, collaborating, connecting. This is only possible because of all of you. There's a beautiful phrase out of Africa called Ubuntu, which means I am because we are. And that's absolutely true about this coffee house. It only exists because of us all together. So happy Sunday, happy Equinox. Beautiful day, everybody. And see y'all soon.
Beautiful day.
In a couple weeks.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
Happy
everybody.
Equinox.
Thank you, Cathryn. Thank you, Laura.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.